I spent most of my pregnancy exhausted, throwing up, severely dehydrated, and trying to convince people that I wasn't making it up. Hi, guys. My name is Esther Burnett, and today I'm going to be talking about what it's like being pregnant and suffering with such a terrible disease called Hyperemesis Gravidarum for both my pregnancies. If you see me looking down at my phone, it's because I'm trying to make sure I do not talk at a point because I tend to ramble a lot, and that's why I don't make sit down videos. So let's get to it. My first pregnancy with Asher, he's about to turn 3 August. I found out I was pregnant in December of 2022. And when I found out, I knew that I was going to get sick. I was going to throw up here and there. But oh my God, I was not ready for what was about to happen because my mom assured me that, everyone gets morning sickness. She got it too. But she didn't really tell me how bad she got it. But I found out how bad eventually. She never also fully got diagnosed. It took me about 3 months or so into my second trimester for me to get these diagnoses that I was actually not just suffering from regular morning sickness because I was losing weight severely. Anyways, when I found out, I was throwing up and I was making every effort to not get dehydrated, but even water, I could not drink. My first pregnancy, I could drink zero water, no liquid. That's how it started, throwing up water, throwing up food, every food, like fish, meat, everything. And then I started throwing up blood. And then there are days where I wouldn't be able to keep anything down for 2 to 3 days. And I had to eventually go to the emergency room. They would just give me Zofran through the IV and I think Benadryl, I'm not sure because it was a mixture and it usually made me very sleepy. And because I was so tired from throwing up, I would just go back home and go back to sleep. Um, for Asher's pregnancy, I slept the most of the time. I think that's how I survived my first trimester, obviously by the grace of God as well. But it was mostly because I was in a coma the whole time. I was sleeping. I was sleeping every freaking day. And thankfully, I had just graduated December 9th of 2022. And I didn't start work till when I was in my second trimester in February 6th of 2023. Um, I had to move to California for my work because I had to be there. I had to relocate for my job. So we drove a U-Haul, and that has to be the worst decision I ever made in my entire life is driving to California with my husband. I was sick the whole time. Like a drive that he would have been able to make in 2 days, it took us almost a whole week because he had to stop and make sure that I was sleeping. I actually got a chance to lay in bed. It was so bad. And at this point, I still didn't know I had hyperemesis. So when we got to California, the second day, I had not been able to put down liquid at all. So my husband took me to the ER, and that's when they officially diagnosed me with hyperemesis. The doctor was like, if you had lost 1 more pound, if you were 1 more pound lesser than you were, I think I was about 125 pounds that day, that he was going to have to keep me in the hospital. So it was because I wasn't 124 pounds. That's why he didn't keep me in the hospital. They pumped me up with liquid, with fluids, and Zofran. They prescribed Benadryl, they also asked me to take Unisum and B2. None of that works for me. I just want to put that disclaimer. Unisum B2 doesn't work. The ginger doesn't work. Anything that you think that might be so innovative and worked during your pregnancy does not work for someone with hyperemesis gravidarum. Nothing works. Your spicy soup, your ginger, your garlic, nothing. Please, just a disclaimer, stop prescribing and encouraging people to take these things because you're just going to make them more dehydrated. Trying to encourage them to drink these things because they're going to drink them, they're going to think it's working, and they're going to throw up. And they're going to throw up any little bit of electrolyte that's keeping them alive. Go to the hospital and get help. Get proper IV, get proper medication that's going to actually help you. I had to advocate for myself eventually because when I moved to California, I had to get a new OBGYN. And thankfully, my doctor was open to understanding and, learning about this sickness. So she prescribed a suppository, promethazine, Zofran. I was taking about 25 milligrams of Zofran each day. I was taking about 2 pills, or 2 pills morning, afternoon, and night. It was ridiculous. I could not survive without those pills. So for Asha's pregnancy, the throwing up slowed down towards the end of my second trimester, but I was still throwing up heavily pregnant. I was able to eat, food that I was comfortable with. I couldn't cook no matter what. Everything tasted like shit. I had to get rice from a specific Nigerian restaurant in Oakland, and I was the only person that they would deliver food to from that distance, because I lived in Milpitas and this place was all the way in Oakland. But because I met the mom there, and when I went there, the grandma was like, if you want me to make yam pepper soup for you, something, I will make it. And I was like, all I want is your jollof rice and the fish, because they fry the fish. And she promised me that if I just called, they would deliver it. So they would put that food in an Uber and Uber it to me, and I would just pay for the Uber. I think it was like $100 for the Uber, and I did not care because that's all I could eat. And that's the thing about being this sick with hyperemesis, is that your health is suffering, your money is suffering, you're not able to cook and eat and manage your money. Like if you put aside $400 a month for groceries, that $400 is going out the window, whew, after your first order of jollof rice and fish. So I was surviving, and I'm so grateful for my husband because he was supportive throughout the whole process. And he also ate the jollof rice with me because my husband loves jollof rice. Even now, I have to cook jollof rice. Nearly I gave birth to Jeremiah, I had to cook jollof rice for him. He was waiting for it. But I eventually had Asher, and it was a great, birth story. I honestly could not have asked for anything better than what I had when I gave birth to him. I gave birth to him when I was 39 weeks and 4 days. I was induced at 39 and 2 days. So I was in labor for roughly 2 days. But yeah, I had epidural, barely felt anything. It was a great time. The recovery, on the other hand, was not a great time. 2/10. Do not recommend. But I found out I was pregnant with Jeremiah August 4th, 2025, because that's Asher's birthday. When he was turning 2, I kind of knew I was pregnant. So I was tracking my ovulation and testing periodically that week. I had got a faint line, but I wasn't a week late yet. Asher's birthday was the exact date of being a week late, and I confirmed that I was pregnant. So obviously, because I had hyperemesis, I kind of knew that this could happen again because there's a higher chance of having hyperemesis gravidarum if you had it with your first pregnancy. And I have met other moms who had it, and they were like, they convinced themselves they weren't going to have it, and they had it the second time, and they had it the third time. But I told myself I didn't only want to have one child. I didn't want to have a single child. So I'm hoping and praying to God that this does not happen to me. That was what I was doing. But I also had a plan to eventually see a doctor, because I found out that you could take I can't remember how to pronounce it. Oh my God. It's a corticosteroids. So it's basically it's a third line treatment for hyperemesis. So I had done my research. I knew that this time I could advocate for myself. I could tell them, hey, I've had this before. So no one's going to gaslight me this time. That was my plan. I knew I could not be gaslighted like I did my first pregnancy. So prayer plus that, I knew we were going to come out on the other side better. But I did know that I did not only want to have a single child. But I found out I was pregnant in July. With Asher's pregnancy, my sickness started when I was 7 weeks pregnant. Yes. And so my birthday was August 23rd. I had planned a trip to Tennessee, took time off. I was still in the military then. Took time off to travel with my family, met my mother-in-law and father-in-law in Tennessee. We were going to have a good time before I eventually got sick. Guess what, guys? I was sick the whole trip. I literally was sick the whole trip. I could only survive by drinking hot chocolate from Starbucks. I could barely put any food down. I was throwing up the whole time. And then, mind you, this is a place that's filled with mountains. So climbing up that elevation and coming down and going up and coming, I was done for. Asher even threw up in the car because he was just overly irritated. But it was probably the worst idea I had that whole pregnancy. I was sick the whole time. I thought to myself, well, this is not that bad. When I was sick with Asher, I was really, really sick. So I'm only 5 weeks pregnant. So maybe if it's showing up this early, it would go away early. I was kind of right, but also kind of wrong. I threw up a lot that pregnancy. I came home. By the time I came home, I had already dropped 10 pounds. I was having issues with my unit because they still wanted me to come to work in person at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. So I couldn't just do a check-in that I was alive and well. At 6, I had to drive in the morning on medication that specifically says do not drive or operate anything while you're on this medication. And I was on times to the dose that a regular person will be taking. I was on promethazine suppository. This shit makes you so sleepy. So sleepy. Oh my god. And the day before, this has to be a story in itself. I cannot spoil it for you guys. It has to be a story in itself. But my unit was trifling. The army is a trifling institution. Let's keep moving. I'm saying that's why I need my notes. Okay, so at this point in my pregnancy, when I came back from that trip, I was on weekly IV fluids because I was losing weight so much, so much. It was so bad. So my doctor had put me on weekly IV fluids. I had multiple ER visits. I will put pictures. TMI. There's gonna be vomit here and vomit here and IV arm here and this. At one point, I was even poked so many times that I bled onto the pad that they put to hold the blood. It was everywhere. I'm gonna post a picture. But I was on IV fluids, and because I was so dehydrated, it was hard to find a stick. But I am so thankful for the nurse. I can't even remember her name anymore because it's been so long. She was the only one that could stick me properly, and she was always there when I had my IV fluids. I think she kind of also scheduled it so that she would be the one on at the hospital, one working at that time. So I would get a bag or two, sometimes 2 bags. Most times it was 2 bags of IV fluids, and that would hold me for 4 days or so until my next fluids. But it was still not, honestly, we were still behind. We were trying to still catch up on the dehydration. So I had to be put on those steroids, and I had to start with a low dose and then walk my way up and then come back down and then wean off. So that lasted for like 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks. It lasted me until the middle of my second trimester, I think around that time. So, and when I was on those pills, I was actually able to eat. I was able to drink water. That's the difference between this pregnancy and Asher's. I was actually craving water this pregnancy. I threw up more Asher's pregnancy, but I still threw up regardless. I have multiple videos. I would be sitting on the couch just barfing into a bowl. I'm gonna put the video, so just TMI. It was so bad. So when they put me on the steroids, those really worked for those 6 to 8 weeks. I was able to get a break. I probably threw up once or twice in a week when I was on the steroids, and it's a third line action. No one's just gonna give you those steroids if you're just suffering from morning sickness, which is why this is not morning sickness. If you're throwing up for hours and days on and you're not able to keep any food down and able to keep any liquid down, nothing, you need to go to the hospital. Don't listen to your grandmother telling you to drink this root. You need to go get help because now there's danger for you and your baby. After I tapered off this steroids was when I left the military. I got out and I got a new doctor and she continued the treatment. At this point, I was taking Zofram, promethazine, vitamin D3, iron pills, what else? Famotidine. Yes, that's the pill I've been forgetting. Famotidine, I think that helps to reduce like stomach acid, because that's usually what comes up when I throw up in the morning. But when I started taking that, I had less stomach acid. So it was, I had less stomach issues. Like I was throwing up way less on that medication. I would say that's the key medication that I took this time that helped keep the puking away. I think I was about 26 weeks pregnant when I would say I significantly stopped throwing up this pregnancy. That's why I would say this. I cannot really say this pregnancy was better than Asher's. They equally have their terrible. It was terrible all around. It was really, really bad. And Asher's time, I just thought, I got unlucky, and this is not how everyone's pregnancy is. This is probably my first, so that's why it happened. But when it happened the second time, it took it took me a lot. It affected not just physically but mentally. I was so depressed. I'm the kind of person that likes working. I was also very consistent posting on my YouTube channel. I just felt isolated and guilty. And then I also had to pause school when this was happening. So this affected my life all around. And that's just me now. It affected my husband. It affected my firstborn because he couldn't play with mommy anymore. And I could tell that he was trying to stay away from me so I could rest. Occasionally he would cuddle with me, but I think he could tell that I was not feeling well. So it affected him. I could barely, shower him, do the basic things that I could do for him. Mentally, it fucked with me. And just to be truthful, I thought about aborting my second baby because it was really bad. It was really that bad. And like I said, it takes a mental toll. And just shout out to my mom because she was the one that helped encourage me and, would pray together and prayed for me. And also my auntie called me to encourage me. My cousin, they would check up on me, and my cousin's wife. Maybe just shout out to everyone because if not for them and my husband, I don't think there would be a second baby. That's how bad it was. You start to think about ways to free yourself from this disease, especially knowing that the only reason you're sick is because you're pregnant, and you can just end the pregnancy and go back to your life. But I knew that I wanted this baby. I have made the sacrifice. I was taking it day by day. I mean, what else would I do? I can take it 2 days by 2 days. I mean, I got to take it day by day. So I was doing the best I could, and my husband was helping. And I know it took a big toll on him because obviously his wife is like severely ill and there's nothing he can do about it. Also, with Jeremiah's delivery was a bit scary for me because when I gave birth to Asher, I pushed for, I had like maybe 3 pushes. It took like 20 minutes to push him out. I was pushing for almost an hour with Jeremiah because instead of him being head down, like face down, so his face facing my butt, his face was facing my belly, so he was sunny side up. Oh my God. I was pushing this time. And for the first time, even though I was on an epidural, I could feel everything in the sense that I wasn't feeling pain, but I was feeling the pressure. When I gave it to Asher, I felt nothing. I think it was too much. The epidural was too much. This time I knew when to push when I was having a contraction. They didn't even tell me he was sunny side up until he came out. And she was like, that's why you were struggling to push him out, because he was head down, but also in the wrong position. After I pushed Jeremiah, I could not eat anything for, I'll say, about 6 hours. I didn't eat till about 2 p.m. because when I had tried to eat in the morning, my husband bought some breakfast. I threw it up. So it took a while for it to fully go away. So it goes away. That's just what I want to put out there, that it will go away. You're gonna feel better after you have your baby. And also, I was spitting a lot during Jeremiah's pregnancy. I did not spit during Ash's pregnancy, so that was something that really triggered me, and that's the reason I decided that I'm not gonna do this again. We're done. Everyone tries to tell me, oh, maybe you can try for a girl. This was my try for a girl, and it did not happen. So I guess I'm a boy mom now, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm okay. I thank you. I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry anymore. No one's gonna tell me twice. No one's gonna tell me, oh no, except there somehow is a solution to hyperemesis, that's the only way I'm going to try for a girl. And that's the last try regardless, because I'm not going to have more children than I can take care of. So I'm I'm okay. Just want to put that out there. And if you do have any questions about, hyperemesis and what helped me, definitely put that in the comment section. Just let's have a conversation because I want to talk about it. And last month was hyperemesis. I think it was May 15 or May 18. I'm not sure. I'll also put that date up here. It was Hyperemesis Awareness Day, and no one's talking about it. I feel like if it was a man suffering with this illness, it will be talked about. They would have found a solution. And mind you, generations upon generations have been suffering with this, but they just tell you it's just how pregnancy is. And this is not how pregnancy is. I just want to put that out there. It is not how pregnancy is. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to live your life like a normal person without being so freaking sick. My mom also had this with my brother, my sister, and me. And it was so severe, and she said she was so sick and she threw up everything. My auntie had it, and she had what, 5 children? What the fuck? But somehow my grandma never had it. And so why do I have the gene if my grandma never had it? Why did my mom have it? My grandma would be pregnant and she wouldn't know she was pregnant. Why didn't I get that? Because I wanted to be exercising and going about my day and doing my life while I was pregnant. But I couldn't do that. I was laying in bed and praying each day that I survived. I'm being truthful because everyone likes to hide and say, oh, pregnancy is beautiful. I'm sorry, pregnancy was in fact not beautiful for me. It was terrible. I was devastated half the time. I was throwing up. I was sick. I was sick, sick, sick. I will never do it again. 2/10. But after pregnancy, 10/10. I love my babies and I would die for them. Me, postpartum, easiest part for me. This time, it took me 2 weeks and I was bouncing. I was walking around. I was okay. I was still healing down there, but I was able to move around. I was able to go on walks with my husband. Asher's postpartum was a little harder because obviously that was my first time. I could barely sit down. I wasn't prepared. This time I was prepared. I bought the donuts to sit down on. I'm really glad I was able to get this out there. Hyperemesis is no joke. If you need help, ask for help, especially when it starts to affect you mentally. A lady in the UK literally killed herself. She committed suicide because of how severe this sickness is. And especially when nobody's listening to you. That's the worst part, if I'm being honest. You telling people that you feel like you're dying and they're telling you, oh, you're not dying. You're okay. That is gaslighting. Don't do it. Seek help. And if you're the mother-in-law, or you're the mother, you're the father, you're the sister, and you may not have experienced this, and you're out here telling your sister or sister-in-law or wife that, oh, it's all in your head. Don't do that. That's not the appropriate response to give somebody who's suffering, because your wife is suffering, your sister is suffering, your cousin is suffering. Offer help. And it's as little as offering to take them to the hospital. They have other children, helping them take care of their other kids. If they can eat some certain meals, offering to cook that for them or buy it for them. Do what you can to make the process just less terrible. I mean, it's not going to do much, but at least it's better than nothing. But definitely go to the hospital. And if your OBGYN or your doctor is not listening to you, change doctors. You're going to be okay. Change doctors. You can go on the Her Foundation and find a list of doctors. I think there are a few in the US where they are trained to, they understand this illness and they're actively trying to, help their patients. I think there's even clinics where they do like rehydration clinics in certain places. I think maybe it's in California, I'm not sure. Or I think it's Arkansas. But they're out there. There's help out there. You just need to know where to look. And if you're watching this video and you have any more questions, you can feel free to DM me on Instagram, TikTok, or leave a comment and I'll find a way to reach you. I promise you. There's help out there. And obviously, after you have your baby, it will all go away. I stopped spitting after, and I didn't even realize when I stopped because I was no longer pregnant. And it's so crazy because once the placenta comes out, it's over. I could feel my soul coming back into my body. It's an out of body experience, and nobody talks about it. I hate the fact that everyone likes to say pregnancy is so beautiful. You should feel blessed, especially when you've suffered with infertility. I didn't suffer with that. It's very easy for me to get pregnant, but I'm talking about people who had infertility issues and then you eventually get pregnant and you're suffering with sickness and you're probably telling yourself, I should be grateful. This is not what I should be feeling like. I shouldn't be feeling like I should abort this baby because I've been wanting to have this baby. Your feelings are valid. But if you're feeling that way, get help. They can put you on medication, antidepressant, for anxiety, for whatever. Just ask for help. Ask for help. Be careful how you ask for the help, but ask for help. Because sometimes, yeah, you know what I mean. Ask for help. Help is out there. If you've watched to the very end of this video, I just want to thank you for staying here. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, like my video, and share. If you know someone who's suffering with this illness and they need some encouragement, just share this with them. There's an end. There's an end. I promise you. And you're gonna eat all the food. Imagine just eating donuts again and quesadillas and burgers. I've had so many burgers since I gave birth, and my husband has indulged me because I've been suffering for months. So if I say I want this, he gets it. Hot dogs. Those Sonic hot dogs, I've wanted them for months, but I'm only just eating them now because this is when I could digest them without throwing up. And I honestly did not want to ruin a lot of my meals, which is why I held off. Anyways, Esther out. See you guys later. Bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.